Hello friends, in this video I'm going to discuss the method to find the solution of given linear congruence equation. Let us start. An equation of the form Ax is congruent to B modulo n is called a linear congruence. Any equation of this form is called the linear congruence, and an integer x naught satisfying the linear congruence, that is a x naught is congruent to b modulo n, is called the solution of the congruence. Means equation of this form is linear congruence, and any integer satisfying this, say x naught, such that a x naught is congruent to b modulo n, is called the solution of the congruence. Okay, now we will discuss the method to find this x naught of given congruence equation. Okay, first we note that we treat the two solutions of this linear congruence, ax congruent to b modulo n, that are congruent modulo n. Congruent modulo n means what? If x1 and x2 are two solutions of this congruence, that is ax1 is congruent to b modulo n and ax2 is congruent to b modulo n, then if we have this x1 is congruent to x2 modulo n, then if we have this two solutions are related by this congruence, x1 is congruent to x2 modulo n, then in that case we say the two solutions are congruent modulo n. Okay, means if we have this linear congruence ax is congruent to b modulo n and we have two solutions x1 and x2 such that ax1 is congruent to b modulo n and ax2 is congruent to b modulo n, and if we have this relation x1 is congruent to x2 modulo n, then we say x1 and x2 are congruent modulo n. In that case, these two solutions are treated as equal even though they are not equal in the usual sense. Okay, if two solutions are congruent modulo n, in that case the two solutions are treated as equal even though they are not equal in usual sense. Okay, let us understand this with the help of example. If we consider the linear congruence, 3x is congruent to 9 modulo 12. Okay, let us consider this linear congruence. Now here x1 is equal to 3 and x2 is equal to minus 9. Both satisfy this congruence relation, this congruence equation. Both satisfy linear congruence as for x1 is equal to 3. 3 into 3, that is 9, is congruent to 9 modulo 12. Here we have 9 and 12 divides 9 minus 9, that is 0. Clear? That means x1 is equal to 3 is the solution. And if I take x2 is equal to minus 9, then here I have minus 9 into 3, that is minus 27 is congruent to 9 modulo 12. Is this true? Here we have minus 27. Here 9. 12 divides minus 27 minus 9, that is minus 36. Yes, 12 divides minus 36. That means x1 is equal to 3 and x2 is equal to minus 9. Both satisfy this congruence. Clear? 3 and minus 9 both satisfy this congruence. Now Now 3 can be written as, 3 and minus 9 satisfy this congruence. 3 and minus 9. 3 is congruent to minus 9 mod 12, modulo 12, since 12 divides 3 minus minus 9, that is 12. Clear? That means 3 and minus 9 are congruent modulo 12. 3 is congruent to minus 9 modulo 12. That means these two are treated as same or equal solution, not different solutions. Okay. Second, if I consider the case, so they are not counted as different solutions. Okay, we will not count them as different solutions. 3 and minus 9 are treated as same solution since 3 is congruent to minus 9 modulo 12. Same way, if I consider the second example, second congruence, 3x is congruent to 2 modulo 5. if I consider this linear congruence, 3x is congruent to 2 modulo 5. Then x1 is equal to 4 and x2 is equal to minus 6. Both are solutions. Since if I take x1 to be 4, then here I have 4, 3, 12 is congruent to 2 modulo 5. Since 5 divides 12 minus 2, that is 5. And if I take x2 be minus 6, then here I have minus 18 congruent to 2 modulo 5. Yes, 5 divides minus 18 minus 2, that is minus 20. Both are solutions. Also we have 4 is congruent to minus 6 modulo 5. Since 5 divides 4 minus minus 6, that is 10. Okay, that means these two solutions are congruent modulo 5. That means here also we treat them as equal. Therefore, they are not counted as different solutions. They here are 4 and minus 6 are not counted as different solutions. Okay, clear? Now we come to the theorem. If GCD of A and N, this is a notation for GCD, greatest common divisor. If GCD of A and N is equal to 1, then the linear congruence AX congruent to B modulo N has a solution. If this condition is satisfied, if GCD of A and N is 1, then this theorem guarantees that there exists a solution to this congruence. Okay. Furthermore, if X0 is a solution, then the set of all solution is precisely the set this. Equivalence class of x0 plus kn such that k belongs to z. This is nothing but the equivalence class of x0. The theorem says that if GCD of A and N is 1, then the linear congruence AX is congruent to B modulo N has a solution. If this condition is satisfied, then this linear congruence definitely has a solution. Furthermore, if x0 is a solution, then the set of all solutions is precisely this set. Okay. Since this set is equal to, this consists of all those y in z such that y is congruent to x0 modulo n. This is the definition. That is, all those y such that n divides y minus x0. That is, y minus x0 is equal to k n for some k belonging to z. That is, all those y belonging to z such that y is equal to x0 plus kn, where k belongs to z. Hence this set. Okay. That means this set is given by x0 plus kn from here. Clear? Now we will prove this theorem. Okay. Now we will follow the 3 steps to prove this theorem. In the first step, we will find that this congruence relation has a solution. This linear congruence has a solution. This is our first step in order to prove this theorem. And in the second step, we will prove if x0 is a solution, then the solution, then the set of all solutions is precisely this set. Means here we will follow, if y belongs to this set, then y is a solution, and if y is a solution, then y will belong to this step, vice versa. These 3 steps we will follow in order to prove this theorem. Okay. Now see, in order to prove this theorem, we will require this algorithm, Euclid's algorithm. This will be required in proving this theorem. This algorithm says that let a and b be any two non-zero integers. If a and b are any two non-zero integers, then GCD of a and b, this is a notation for GCD, then GCD of a and b exists and is unique. GCD exists and will be unique. Also, there exists integers m and n such that GCD is expressible as a into m plus b into n. GCD of a and b is can be represented as a into m plus b into n. This is Euclid's algorithm. This will be required in proving this theorem. Okay. Now proof. Now first we will prove that in the first step, step 1, we will prove Step 1, we will prove that linear congruence Ax congruent to B modulo n has a solution. In the first step, we are going to prove this, that this linear congruence has a solution. This is our first step. Okay. Now for this, since we will use this Euclid's algorithm, since it is given that GCD of an is equal to 1, therefore by Euclid's algorithm, there exist integers r and s, say r and s, such that we have this ar plus ns is equal to 1. GCD here is 1. By Euclid's algorithm, there exists integers r and s such that a into r plus n into s is equal to 1. Now multiplying throughout by b, then we get a into rb plus n into sb is equal to b. Clear? Or we can write this as a into rb is equal to b plus n into minus can be taken inside the bracket. We can write in this form, that is, this is nothing but a into rb is congruent to b modulo n. From here I get n divides a into rb minus b. This is some integer only. From this step I can write this step, that is now comparing this with the linear congruence. If I compare these two congruences, ax is congruent to b modulo n and a into rb is congruent to b modulo n, we get x naught is equal to rb satisfies the linear congruence, satisfies the given linear congruence. Clear? Therefore, part 1 is proved. That means linear congruence has a solution. That is, given linear congruence has a solution. Part 1 is this, has a solution. Clear? This is proved. Now we will prove the next part. Okay. Now we will prove the next part. Now we will prove, this is our step 2. Let y belongs to this. That is equivalence class of x naught. Let y belongs to this. Then we will prove y is a solution to linear congruence equation. Okay. To prove y is a solution to given linear congruence. Okay, given linear congruence, we will prove this linear congruence. This is our next step. Okay, now y belongs to x naught implies what? This is to prove. Now y belongs to this class implies y is equal to x naught plus k into n for some integer k. That means y is congruent to x naught modulo n. I can write this as y is congruent to x naught modulo n. Now mark this as equation number 1. Clear? Sorry. Before marking this, let us multiply by a both sides. This will give us ay is congruent to ax naught modulo n. Clear? Now mark this as equation number 1. Also, it is given that x naught is a solution of ax congruent to b modulo n. X naught is a solution. That means, therefore, we have ax naught is congruent to b modulo n. Since it is a solution, now using 1 and 2 and using the transitive property, using 1 and 2 and transitive property of congruence relation, transitive property of congruence relation, we have AY is congruent to B modulo N. Okay, and this will imply Y is a solution. This implies Y is a solution of AX congruent to B modulo N. Clear? Proved. Now, in the step 3, we will prove that if Y is a solution, then Y belongs to equivalence class of X naught, where X naught is a solution. Okay, this will prove. Now, let Y be a solution. Let Y be a solution of AX congruent to B modulo N. Clear? Now, to prove, we will prove that to prove Y belongs to this equivalence class. Y belongs to this equivalence class. Okay. Now, Y is a solution. Y is a solution. This we will prove. Now, Y is a solution. Therefore, we have AY is congruent to B modulo N. Okay. Also, since X naught is a solution, therefore, we have AX naught is congruent to B modulo N. And from this, and using the symmetric property of congruence relation, we have B is congruent to AX naught modulo N. Okay. Therefore, now we have this. Mark this as 3 and mark this as 4. Now using 3 and 4. Now using 3 and 4. Using 3 and 4. Using 3 and 4, we have using 3 and 4 and transitive property of congruence relation. Transitive property of congruence relation. Of congruence relation, we have AY is congruent to AX naught modulo N. Clear? Now, since it is given that GCD of A and N is 1, and this we have this relation, and this AY is congruent to AX naught modulo N, and also GCD is 1. Therefore, using cancellation property, we can use a cancellation property here if this condition is satisfied. Okay, we have done this theorem. Therefore, we have Y is congruent to X naught modulo N, and this will imply Y is equal to X naught plus Kn for some integer K, and this will give us Y belongs to this set. Okay, hence proved. Step 3 is also proved, hence the result. Okay, hence the theorem. Clear? Hence proved. Okay, now we come to the corollary to this theorem. Corollary, let A, B and P be integers where A is not equal to 0, P is a prime which does not divide A, then we have this, then AX is congruent to B modulo P always. Then this congruence always has a solution which is unique modulo P. Okay, this is the statement. Let A, B and P be integers where A is non-zero and B is a prime which does not divides A. Now P is a prime and P does not divides A. Okay, P does not divides A. Therefore, GCD of A and P will be 1. Okay, therefore GCD of A and P will be 1. Okay, then we have to prove this congruence relation. this linear congruence Ax congruent to B modulo P always has a solution which is unique modulo P. Now from the above theorem number 1, which we have proved P is prime and P does not divide A, this GCD is 1. Then by this theorem number 1, this congruence, this linear congruence has a solution. Okay, therefore from theorem 1, the linear congruence Ax congruent to B modulo n has a solution. Here n is P, has a solution. Since the condition was GCD of A and n is 1. Okay, and since P is a prime and P does not divide A, GCD is 1, then result follows from previous theorem. Okay, now has a solution which is unique modulo P. Means what? If we have two solutions x1 and x2, then they are congruent modulo n. Means if x1 and x2 are two solutions, then x1 is congruent to x2 modulo P here. Okay, now result follows from previous theorem. Okay, the linear congruence Ax congruent to B modulo P has a solution which is unique modulo P. Clear? Hence proved. Now we come to examples. Okay. Now we come to some problems. First is solve the linear congruence 8x is congruent to 3 modulo 27. Now comparing with Ax congruent to B modulo n, we have A is 8 here, B is 3 and n is 27. Now clearly GCD of A and n, 8 and 27 is 1. Therefore, there exists by Euclid's algorithm, there exist integers R and S such that 8 into R plus 27 into S is equal to 1. Now we will find this R and S. For this, we will now start dividing this 27 divided by 8, 8 3 24, here 3, then again dividing 8 by 3, 3 2 is 6, 2, then divide 3, 2 here, 1, 2, 2 and then 0. That means 27 can be written as 8 into 3 plus 3, then 8 is 3 into 2 plus 2, then 3 is 2 into 1 plus, first write 27, then 8, then 3, 2 into 1 plus 1, then 2, 2 is 1 into 2 plus 0. Okay, clear? Now start from the second last step. 1 can be written as 3 minus 2 into 1. Now from this step, second step, it's replacing 2 by 8 minus 3 into 2 into 1. Here minus, that is 3 minus 8 into 1 plus 3 into 2. That is here 8 into minus 1 plus 3 into 3. Now replacing 3 by this 27 minus 8 into 3 into 3. That is 8 into minus 1 plus 27 into 3. This can be written as 8 into minus 9. That is, we have 8 into minus 10 plus 27 into 3. That means, therefore, R is minus 10 and S is 3. Okay. Now we have this 8 into minus 10 plus 27 into 3 is equal to 1. Okay, we want to solve we want to solve this congruence. Our question is to solve this congruence. 8x is congruent to 3 modulo 27. We want to solve this. Clear? Now, this can be written as 8 into minus 10 is equal to 1 minus or 1 plus 27 into minus 3. I can write this. Okay, we want here 3 but we are having 1 here. So, we multiply 3 both sides. Multiply by 3 both sides. Then we will have 8 into minus 30 is equal to 3 plus 27 into minus 9. Okay. Now this can be written as 8 into minus 30 is congruent to 3 modulo 27. I can write this. Okay. I can write this. Okay. Now we want to find x such that 8x is congruent to 3 modulo 27 and we are having 8 into minus 30 is congruent to 3 modulo 27. Now comparing from 1 and 2 we get from 1 and 2 we get x is equal to minus 30 is a solution. Okay. From here and here I can say x is minus 30 is a solution. Also we know minus 30 is congruent to 24 modulo 27. Modulo 27. Okay. Since 27 divides minus 30 minus 24, that is minus 54, divides 27 divides minus 30 minus 24, which is minus 54. And clear? Therefore, we have this congruence. Therefore, from this we can say x is congruent to 24 modulo 27 is also a solution. We can say this. Okay. X is congruent to clear. Therefore, the general solution or desired solution can be expressed as, using theorem 1, can be expressed as x is equal to 24 plus, if we have a result, x is equal to x naught plus n into k, where k is an integer, is a general solution. Here n is 27, therefore solution, and x naught is 24, therefore x is equal to 24 plus 27 into k, where k belongs to z, is the solution. Okay, this is how we have to solve the linear congruence. Clear? Okay, now we come to next problem. Next question. Second, solve the linear congruence 17x congruent to 29 modulo 37. Okay, now we will solve this congruence. Now comparing this with ax congruent to b modulo n. Here we have a is 17, b is 29 and n is 37. Okay, now GCD of a and n, that is 17 and 37, is 1. Okay, therefore there exist integers r and s such that 17 into r plus 37 into s is equal to 1. There exist integers r and s such that this. Now we will find r and s. For this we will divide 37 by 17, 34, 3, then 17, 5, 2, then 3, 1 and 2 and 0. Okay, now 37 can be written as 17 into 2 plus 3. Then 17 can be written as this can be written as 3 into 5 plus 2. Then this 3 can be written as 2 into 1 plus 1. Now this 2 is written as 1 into 2 plus 0. Okay, clear? Now start with this. 1 is written as 3 minus 2 into 1. Okay, now replacing value of 2, from here we get 17 minus 3 into 5 into 1, that is 3 minus 17 into 1 plus 3 into 5, that is 17 into minus 1 plus 3 into 6. Now replacing 3 by here, that is 17 into minus 1 plus 37 minus 17 into 2 into 6, that is 17 into minus 1 plus 37 into 6 plus 17 into minus 8. Okay, that means here we have 17 into minus 9 plus 37 into 6. I can write like this. That means this is, this is 6 2. This is 37 into 6 and this is 12. Sorry, by mistake. This is 12, not 8. 12 and here we have 13, not 9. Here 13. Okay, plus 37 into 6. That means 1 is equal to 17 into minus 13 plus 37 into 6. Here R is minus 13 and S is 6. Okay, now we have this. We have 17 into minus 13 plus 37 into 6 is equal to 1. Now see, we want to solve this congruence. To solve this, 17x is congruent to 29 modulo 37. We want to solve this. So writing this in this form, this is 17 into minus 13 is equal to 1 plus 37 into minus 6. I can write like this. Now here we have 29 but here we have 1. Therefore we will multiplying by 29 both sides. Therefore, we have 17 into minus 13 into 29 is equal to 29 plus 37 into minus 6 into 29. Okay, that is, this is 17 into, this will give us minus 377 is equal to 29 plus 37 into minus 6 into 29. That is, this can be written as 17 into minus 377 is congruent to 29 modulo 37. I can write like this. Clear? Now comparing 1 and 2 or using 1 and 2. Using 1 and 2 we get x is equal to minus 377 is a solution. Okay. Also minus 377 is congruent to minus 7 modulo 37 and minus 7 is congruent to 30 modulo 37, since we want our answer free from negative sign. Okay, therefore from this we get, or in one step also we can write this, minus 377 is congruent to 30 modulo 37 in one step only. Okay, therefore x is equal to, or x is congruent to 30 modulo 37 is a solution. It's a solution. I can write the solution in this form, and general solution can be written with the help of theorem number 1. The desired or general solution can also be expressed as x is equal to 30 and here n is 37, therefore 37 into k, where k is an integer. Therefore the general solution is expressible as this. Clear? Now that's it for this video. If you have any queries or any doubts, please write to me in comment box. Thank you.